Welcome back to Common Sense, everybody. I'm Wendy Bell. So a few weeks ago, I talked about what's behind some of these pro-Palestinian protests. Some of them are getting paid support and are actually paying for that support. I mentioned a specific firm that provides staffing, paid participants for events like this. These firms do exist, but to be clear, the firm I mentioned, called Crowds on Demand, denies providing any support to this particular cause. And the CEO is going on record saying that while he has been approached by pro-Palestinian groups, his company has declined to get involved. So I want to apologize for linking Crowds on Demand to the pro-Palestinian protesters. We don't have any evidence of this. The concept, however, remains very true. There is big money behind these protesters, and there are people who are getting paid for their protesting efforts. And that's what I want to talk about. When does paid political protest become straight out propaganda? And isn't that the definition of fake news? Rich Valdez hosts Rich Valdez, America at Night on Westwood One. Stacy Washington hosts Stacy on the Right on Sirius XM Radio out of St. Louis. And Carl DeMaio hosts the DeMaio Report on AM 600 KOGO out of San Diego, I should say, the chairman of Reform California. All right, Rich, let's start with you. So I had the CEO of Crowds on Demand on my radio program. His company calls itself the ultimate guerrilla lobbying and government relations firm, which uses paid actors to influence people's perceptions and to spark conversation. Do you see a blurring here between what is real and what is made to seem real?
Yeah, well, I mean, that's propaganda by definition, right? And this is, I think you hit the nail on the head. This is astroturf politics. It's not grassroots. There was a piece in the Wall Street Journal highlighting the fact that they're hiring people, and Soros Foundation is giving out grants for this. The Rockefeller brothers are giving out cash for this. And not only that, but you've also had the LA Times did a piece on this back in March saying that they were specifically looking for 7-foot-tall, 300-pound individuals for the intimidation factor. So when you have all of that on the table as you know, circumstantial evidence, one can't help but think that we're really going far and wide to try and create something that isn't there. I think the term for this is a pseudo event.
Yeah, I feel like it's a simulation almost. You know, there's nothing inherently illegal or even wrong capitalistically with propaganda campaigns meant to influence public opinion. Crowds on Demand provides a service, the same as lobbyists and ad agencies, and those with the ability to pay can present the illusion of anything they want, right? So, Carl, do you think creating this alternate reality of reality is really confusing for a lot of folks when the whole world already seems upside down? Like, which way do you look?
It is designed to gaslight and misinform. I know people out there, when they see these protests and these crowds, one of the impacts is that they are starting to think, well, maybe there's something wrong with me. Maybe my views are fringe. Maybe I'm not in the mainstream. That's exactly the sinister approach that they want to achieve with these paid actors, is they want the mainstream silent majority to question whether they actually are mainstream and in the majority. We know that Donald Trump doesn't need any paid actors. He's got a real movement with real energy, real support. And yet the left is so fringe, so extremist, so out of step that they have to get the paid actors, and then a willing mouthpiece are the liberal media enterprises that are out there. And so it is so important for the folks at home to remember there's nothing wrong with you. Your views are not out of step. You actually are the mainstream. You are not the fringe. You are the voice of America, and you need to be proud of that and be secure of that.
Stacy, this reminds me when Kamala Harris was shooting that commercial, and she had to get all the kids, and they had to get actors to do that. Do you remember that?
I do, but I see a problem with it. I'm going to disagree here. I'll be the lone star disagreeer. Marketing campaigns are just that. You're marketing an idea or a product. Ideological campaigns, that's something that kind of falls in the middle. And then you have propaganda. Propaganda campaigns are things that the CIA ran propaganda campaigns in foreign countries. They run color change campaigns, and then they change government by first changing opinion, then helping people to organize, and then changing the government. That's something that we as Americans have done in foreign countries to help them come out of it's regime change, to help them come out from oppression. Here in the United States, that doesn't fly for me. I don't want to feel as if I'm confused about how many people agree with my viewpoint. I want people to actually campaign on what they believe and convince me that their side is right, or campaign on what they believe and I obviously see that they're wrong, as is the case with the left, and I utterly reject and stand against them with everything
Sure.
within my being and gather others to do the same. I think when they run these propaganda campaigns on our soil, they actually demonstrate their lack of faith in the ability of the American people to absorb and understand information, and it's absolutely foul, and I can't agree with it.
I don't disagree there at all. And you know, Rich, Hollywood is diving into this paid political propaganda too. Writers with credits on shows including SNL and Parks and Recreation are reportedly working with a Biden super PAC to bring on millennial and Gen Z writers, directors, and producers to help craft pro-Biden content that's specifically engineered to sell an octogenarian candidate to typically disillusioned and hard to reach voters under 30. So what do you think, Rich? Is it going to work?
You know, it might to some degree. I hope that it does. And I
Crazy.
think by and large, most people are waking up and they're realizing, wow, you know, I think if you would ask me 5 years ago, would Charlemagne the God be talking about on a hip hop station in New York about the Pentagon's budget for propaganda and films like The Hunt for Red October? I would have said, nah, not in a million years. But they've been talking about that. These are things that are coming out drip, 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 little by little. So I think there is a movement to awaken people to the truth and to shed light on things that some of it hiding in plain sight. So the potential for it to work exists. I'm optimistic, and I think it won't.
Yeah. And so what's the difference then between paid political propaganda and much of the news then, Carl, that we get from the mainstream media? Like, for instance, Donald Trump is a convicted felon, right? All the headlines say that. Hunter Biden is a convicted felon too now, but the headlines don't call him that. And that's purposeful, yes?
Absolutely, because you cannot trust these media enterprises anymore. They're not doing the job of journalism. Journalism died long ago. They are propaganda machines, and they need to be called out and labeled as such. But let me just say that there's another part of this that needs to be addressed. And the fact is, we know Democrats and the left will use propaganda. But, you know, I'm not seeing Republicans communicate very effectively. Where is the Republican Latino outreach strategy? Where are they doing? What are they doing to reach out to younger voters? Republicans are pretty inept and lazy when it comes to the campaigns that they run.
I don't disagree.
The guy that has seemed to have mastered it without any sort of real infrastructure is Donald J. Trump. He's just a natural at it, and credit to him. But I want to see more Republicans do that. He's, you know, Trump cannot alone get out there and explain and communicate to all of these demographics all the things that are happening. He's the biggest megaphone. But shame on the Republican Party nationally, the state Republican parties, the candidates, for not getting out there, hustling, and communicating the ideas of freedom and prosperity and personal responsibility. Let's get out there and work as hard as the left is working at lying. Let's work hard to get the truth out there.
Yeah. Stacy, you get my final 15 seconds, girl. Do you agree with that? I do.
It's not hard. And I actually think we're going to see some change in the GOP campaigns with the RNC now headed up by a relative of President Trump. They're going to bring that same kind of messaging and campaign efficiency to the rest of the party. So let's look forward to that.
Amen, guys. Thank you so much.